All right, my artists, to make our textured monsters, you're going to need a wonderful piece of paper. You are going to need something to draw with. I have crayons, but you can use markers. You could even use paint, artists. And you are going to need texture rubbing plates or something to put underneath your paper eventually so we can get something called texture. Proof of this object's texture onto our paper. My artists, but the first thing we're going to want to start off with when we do our monster is we want to think about our lines. We have lots of different lines we could choose from. We could choose to do a zigzag line that has lots of angles in it, lots of bends. We could do a wavy line that has lots of curves. We could even just do a straight line or a loopy line. We could do a castle line, kind of looks like a Lego piece at the top of a castle. That's why it's called a castle line. You could even maybe, if you want to get really fancy, you could do a bunch of swirls side by side. And you're going to think about those lines for the top of what we're going to make our monster. So I think for my monster, I'm going to do a line I didn't show you on the back, so I can show you another line. I'm going to do a clouds line. A cloud line kind of looks like a bunch of U's together. And I'm going to bring it across in a curve to one side of my paper to the other side. Take my crayon and go down and hop back up. Go down and hop back up. All the way the other side of my paper. The next thing I want to do is I want to think about what's going to be on top of my monster. I could have ears on top of my monster. I could have horns. I could have even little bows. Ooh, a unicorn horn. It's totally up to you. I think I'm going to do little horns on each side of my monster. Also think about the face of your monster. Is your monster going to have big eyes, tiny eyes? Is it going to be wearing sunglasses or regular glasses? Is it going to have pointy eyes or circle eyes, even triangle eyes? What shapes and kind of eyes are you going to make? I'm going to make circle eyes, or like ovalish eyes, because I want my creature to have big eyes. Maybe it even has 3 eyes or 1 eye. I'm gonna do a little dot in the middle. I could even give my monster eyelashes if I wanted to. And an eyelid. And I want to think about, does my monster have a nose? Does it have a mouth? If it has a nose, maybe it has a long nose. And maybe it has a smiling mouth, or maybe even a different line mouth with zigzags. I'm going to have mine smiling. I'm going to round the sides to make its cheeks. Instead of just coloring in my monster, which I could do, I could take my crayon and I could take my time and color really nicely its horns. All these different wonderful colors. Taking my time, I could color in the eyelids. Color in my eyes here. Could give my monster, oop, runaway crayon, there we go. Rosy, swirly, whirly cheeks. Maybe an even swirly, whirly nose. So an artist, what we could do is, for filling this in here, we can grab something to put underneath. And this is called a texture plate, and you don't need a texture plate for this. You just need something to go under your paper that's somewhat flat. So I could put it on the sidewalk. I could put grass underneath this, or even leaves that I find outside. And when I put it under my paper, put this on top. And when I rub this onto the paper, it's going to have whatever the texture is on here. Texture is the way something feels or looks like it feels. This feels bumpy, so we're going to take the bump, so then my monster's fur or skin looks bumpy. I'm going to choose this one because I like this one the most. I'm going to set it underneath behind my monster, and I'm going to take a crayon that doesn't have any of the paper on it, and I'm going to have it turn to its side like it's sleeping. I'm going to take my fingers and give it a little smooch. And with my little smooch, I'm going to rub the sleeping crayon all over my texture. And you'll see what happens. I do this. My texture starts to show up on here. I can even use another color. This might help you see it even better. I can mix two colors into my creature, my monster's fur. I'm just going to fill it up. Make sure to do it around the eyes and stuff, because we just want it to go onto the fur or the skin. If you want to do this part before you even draw in the face, that's okay too. I'm going to rub it on. I'm going to move it so I can travel around to the whole monster, because the texture won't show up if it's not under where I'm rubbing. And there we go. My texture is on my monster, and here I have one of my textured monsters. You can do this a bunch of different ways. If it's easier for you to do the texture first, that's okay too. This is a leaf I found outside. It doesn't just have to be leaves, but we have an awful lot of them right now. You're going to take this and you're going to set it underneath your paper. And if I rub with my crayon, it works just as well as it did when I had my texture plates. It works just as well as my leaf here. You can use things that you find and use its textures to do a rubbing as well. Awesome work, artists! If you make a line and texture monster, feel free to send it my way. I'd love to see it and put it in our art gallery. Great job!